Hey, it's Kellen. And today's guests, you guys are going to get game from the real estate perspective, the brokerage perspective, but all around an author. She's done so much. Constance Carter, she's a mother of four. Her husband, Warren, he has to be proud of her because she's a best-selling author as well. She's a broker in real estate. She will loan you money for the real estate. She also has opened the co-op spot in Sacramento. She's known about bankruptcy, but she's also known about making over $200,000 a year. Mrs. Carter, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey. How you? Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about being here, Kellen. This is amazing.
I am so glad to have you on here because you know what I like when I saw you doing your thing online is you have that no BS approach. This is what it is. These are my bumps. These are my bruises, but here's my success. And that's what Diversified Game is, to show people that the road to success isn't always a straight road, but how do you stay on that curve? And in a time like this, we need to hear, how are we going to bounce back based on the success that you've already had and the bouncing back? Give us some keys and tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me on today. I am honored. So you pretty much said who I am. I mean, I own a real estate company. I own the largest African-American owned real estate firm in California. And we are growing. We just opened up another office, Capital City Catalyst, out in Sacramento. The co-op spot, which is a really super high-tech, innovative co-working incubator. So super excited about that. One of my passions is really helping entrepreneurs to up-level their business and go from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 figures, and give them the blueprint on how to do that. But it wasn't long ago, 10 years ago, I was bankrupt, almost 11 now, 2009. I was bankrupt, 379 credit score, but I was making over $250,000 a year. So I was making $250,000, but I had all this money. I did not know what to do with it. I did not know how to manage it. So what I've essentially done is I looked at the things that I went through, and I made those hardships that I went through, I created a blueprint for them. And that's been my claim to fame, so to speak, is just helping other people do the things that I went through. So that 379 credit score, I wrote a best-selling book about credit. Here's credit, here's how it works. Here's how to get your scores up. Mismanaging my money, not really understanding and being broken. I wrote another bestseller called The Secret to Breaking the Broke Code. The broke code. And so that's really about how to break the broke mindset, but really how to get you on your way to really start manifesting millions. And and I have 4 books total, but those 2 are really the blueprints that I use to help other people. So that's just kind of where I am. I'm a around the way girl from San Jose, just like you said, and didn't come from money or anything like that. But I've always had a passion to get to the next level. Also, not only just me, bring other people with, because that's the most important piece of it. So that's where I am.
And that, everybody needs a round-the-way girl. Fellas, she's already taken if you heard the intro. So don't start, hitting in the DMs, because how it is online. Folks are crazy and think they're in a movie. In a time like this where businesses are shutting down, and you've already been through, not 1 hurdle, but 2 hurdles as a mass in business, how is real estate and how are your other businesses going to either benefit or maybe even be broken by this?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it'll benefit. But see, I always look at the glass as half full. I don't look at it as half empty, where everybody else is saying the sky is falling and there's peril that's coming. I'm looking at it as, okay, what can we do differently? How can we pivot? How can we shift? And I'm telling you, it's the mindset. Now, I know that we haven't reached the pinnacle of the spreading of this virus. I understand that. But what I also understand is there is a way or an outlook that you can have that can change everything. And one of the things I do, even with my agents, I do a sales call every Monday. I've been doing it for years. But you have those people who are like, oh, no, and it's just me like, hey, listen, keep game. That's what we got to do. We got to stay focused during this time. The cool thing about California is the governor just deemed it and real estate an essential business. So we can still do business, but very lightly. So, we can show houses that are vacant, and, we just have to take precautions, because housing is an essential. You know, some people need to sell their house in emergency. Some people they might be homeless. They need it, so it is an essential. Housing is essential. But I'm saying, the great thing about how I operate is I've always said that you have to have multiple revenue streams. That is the most important thing as a business owner, but even more beyond being a business owner, if you are employed. Because look at what happened. What happened? Where we at right now?
Yes.
Today, they announced that 6.6 million people filed unemployment. That means 6.6 million people who had jobs that are depending on those jobs, they need unemployment. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was employed, like if I was an employee of my corporation, I would be filing unemployment too, right? I'm gonna take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there because we pay taxes into those things. But what if that's your only source of income? You stuck holding the bag. You have nothing else. And a lot of people are going to be devastated. A lot of people are going to be impoverished. A lot of people are going to be homeless as a result of what's happening right now. So it's so important that you have multiple revenue streams. One of the things I have for my agents is, you see, I own a real estate company. I also own a loan company, which we're direct lenders. We lend our own money. We have a warehouse line where we have millions of dollars that we lend. And so with that, I'm giving my agents an opportunity to have multiple revenue streams. Not only are they selling houses, but they can also originate loans. Now, all of them don't do it because it takes a special licensing, but they all have the opportunity to do it. So the same principles that I'm teaching other people about, you have to have multiple revenue streams. I actually implemented that within my business, is not having all your eggs stuck in one basket, because it could be pulled off from under you just like that. And the crazy thing is, somebody was like, people need to know, you should write an ebook. And so I wrote an ebook last week, and I just released it this week. It's called 7 Online Revenue Streams to Build Your $1 Million Dream, to Fund Your $1 Million Dream. And that could be, you can get that off ConstanceCarter.com. But I just wanted to inspire people to say, listen, do not have your eggs in one basket. You need, the Bible says that in Ecclesiastes, I think 11:2, 12:2, it says that you should invest in 7 revenue streams in the event that there's something that can hit the land, that a disaster strikes the land. You need to have multiple revenue streams. That's what the Bible says. So I live by that. I do it, best-selling author, I get money from that. I get money from, right now I get money from the co-op spot because it shut down. I get money in real estate. I get money in loans. I get money in my cannabis dispensary. So my money ain't short, but believe that I'm going to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there for me. So I believe that, everybody should be, in this time, especially this time, should teach us anything. It should teach us that we should have multiple revenue streams.
And tell me if this is true in California, but in Seattle, the cannabis is still an essential part. I mean, so that money is.
Go down to Zen Garden on Hammer Lane and I don't partake. I just get the money. I just invest. So, but it's good for business right now. That's for dang sure. People stuck in their house. Alcohol has gone up. I'm due, because we get our dividends quarterly, so I'm due to get my dividends this month. So it'll be interesting to see how much weed has gone up over the last month.
Yeah. And talk about how the dividends work on the cannabis investment, because there's young, old, whatever people. Everyone can invest. If you don't buy Jordans or Louis Vuitton with the first money you get and put it in that. But talk about what it takes to invest in that. Where do they need to go? Then how much would you suggest? Not that we're giving financial advice, but we're giving you what she's done. So then, and what type of dividend you can expect in a time of, this is a pandemic. So this is a crisis. Talk about that and educate the folks.
Okay. So investing is all about being intentional, right? So I invest in different things. I invest in stock. I have an Acorns account. My money is diversified, because one of the things that I understand to be true is that the wealth gap is so wide because, number one, real estate is the number one wealth creator in this nation. And African Americans weren't able to partake in real estate investing because of things like redlining and predatory lending. So our wealth is built in our housing, right? And we have just been able to get in the game over the last 30 years, where you have others who had a 300-year head start. So the wealth gap between African Americans and white Caucasian households are vastly different. Their net worth is over 100,000. Ours is less than 2,000. Okay? That's huge. And one of the reasons is, housing, but the other thing is we don't have a diverse portfolio. So it is muy importante. It is very essential that we have to start investing our money in other things. Right now, the stock market is so low. Get you an Acorns account. Start funding that bad boy, whether it's $50 or $100. I gave my kids 4 years ago, Dr. Boyce Watkins, who's a good friend of mine. I bought his program, had told all of them to sign up for it and watch it. And if they did, I was going to give $1,000 a piece to invest. The only one I did was my oldest son, and he took that $1,000 and made $8,000. Okay.
And what time period?
That was about 2 years. Took him about 2 years to make $8,000. This is a 12-year-old kid. He's 16 now, almost 16 now. But the point is, you can figure out everything that you want on Google University. My son, he was buying pharmaceuticals, and he was buying, I teach the principle, don't buy Nike, don't buy Jordans, buy Nike stock, right? Don't just buy those items, don't just buy liabilities, buy assets. So that he was buying, assets as well, but he took that and he grew it. And so with that being said, investing in, say, marijuana or, that's a little bit more complex. It was just an opportunity, and I was very intentional. I believe in the power of manifestation and visualization. So I said to myself that I wanted to invest in marijuana. I was actually sitting down with a guy at a conference, and we were talking about it. He was saying, listen, brothers have gone to prison. This is the game we need to be in. You got all these other people who are making billions of dollars, and we're spending 25 years of life. And I was like, you know what? That's the game I want to be in. And an opportunity presented itself. Somebody called me, a girlfriend of mine was like, hey, because she would always call me on investment opportunities. She was like, hey, I got a line on a dispensary. And I was like, how much of a check do I need to write? Because I already knew this is what I wanted to do. But that's about being in the right place, not only being in the right place at the right time, but being the right person in the right place at the right time, having the means to be able to do it. Because 10 years ago, I had money, but I didn't have the means because I was blowing my money. This was a 6-figure investment for me in the marijuana dispensary, and within a year, I made my money back. And an average investment, it normally takes 3 to 5 years to get your ROI. Or say 3 years, right? It's a good time to get your return on investment. I made my return on a 6-figure investment within 1 year. That is a damn great investment.
No, that is awesome. And sometimes I can hear the folks, it's hate, but it's also curiosity. So I can hear the haters sometimes, and they'll say, well, she's probably an accredited investor then if she can get in deals. Are you? No, you weren't an accredited investor, so this is just something because the opportunity.
It was opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just an opportunity. So I'm definitely not an accredited investor. There was an opportunity. There was a dispensary they were opening in my area. They needed some investors. The first meeting, it was a bunch of people, and it was a bunch of African-American people. The owner is not African-American, but he has about eight dispensaries, like all over. He's an attorney all over the state of California. But there were a lot of African-Americans that were there that were interested in investing. I think at the end of the day, it was only, maybe 3 or 4 of us that ended up investing. But, I get a payout the way they do it because marijuana is the cash business. So, you can't, they can't write the check. It's not insured by the FDIC, so I get paid out, in order to help with their accounting, I get paid out quarterly. So, it's great. I don't have to do nothing. I just go pick up my money, and I have a nice little bag, get my cash, and then I'll take a picture. I'll be like, holding all my money like this, and I'll send it to my parents. Look, Mom. One time my dad was like, you better not be putting it on Facebook. I was like, Dad, I'm not crazy. Like, my dad don't know the difference between text and Facebook. So I texted money to him. He thought it was on Facebook. I was like, Dad, chill out. I ain't about to put that on Facebook. What I do, I'll be like,
yeah. And I want to even break this down for someone to say, wait, hold on. I could get 100,000, or maybe I have 100,000 with that investment. Did you have to put the cash down, or did you have to take a loan then to do the investment? How did that work?
However you wanted to do it. So for me, I had the cash available. But I mean, I definitely recommend, if you're going to use your credit for anything, then it should be for investing, right? So we should be using credit as leverage for investing. And that's the whole premise behind credit, in my opinion. Don't use credit for bad things. Don't use them for liabilities. Use them for assets. So if you had to go take out a $100,000 loan to invest in this, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea. Thankfully, I didn't have to do that. But if you did, It's all good. You got to look at what your interest is going to be, what you're paying back, and versus what what your dividends are going to be. So you got to look with that option out.
And also, when you're doing an investment like that, what were some of the safeguards that you did? Because a lot of times folks, especially newer folks, new money, people coming into the NBA, NFL, I handle, I'm a consultant and I handle influencers and different people. And sometimes they'll say, well, how do I know this investment is guaranteed? And I say, well, there's nothing guaranteed in business, period. We're seeing that now where you thought something was guaranteed, but what are some of the checks and balances that you do before you give somebody $100,000 cash?
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a great question. So you had to understand who's the primary. So who's the primary seed on that investment? There was a prospectus, and it was a very conservative prospectus, right? I looked at it and it was like, you might get your ROI back in 5 years. Like, this is weed. And I knew that they were going to be opening it up for rec use. So this was the medical marijuana. I knew within a year it was going to be rec use. Oh, it's about to blow up. I looked at who it was. What was his experience? Who are the other players? Who are the other investors? What's going to be the return on my investment? Contracts. You got to look at the contracts. Is there a clause? What are the safeguards? What are the things that are going to protect me? What are the things that are going to protect him? Is there, because there's a buyout clause. So, at some point I can choose to get, totally bought out. I don't ever plan to. Why? My kid's going to be making money off of it, hopefully, at some point. And the great thing is, and then you got to look at, again, like I said, their experience, but I looked at what was around here. In my area, there were only 2 other dispensaries. So there was a huge need. And I think they're only allowing like 4 total. So now they have 3, and they're only going to allow 1 more. So, and this is the only legitimate, one that's not. This is in a shopping center. We purchased a building, a commercial building. It's right by Toys R Us, where Toys R Us used to be. It's right by Pier 1 Imports. So, you just have to look at all of those things, but you definitely have to look at your contracts and ensure that you are, benefiting, what kind of dividends, what percentage shares that you're going to have in this company. All of those things are extremely important. Right now, this dispensary makes about $1 million a month. And so, but they were projected like, their prospectus was like, oh, we might make $100,000, $200,000 a month. I knew better. But of course, there's no guarantees on any investments. And so you got to be, I whatever investments that I make, I do it knowing that if nothing ever happens, I've got to be okay with it. I'm not going to get my last on nothing. Right? I'm a risk taker, but I'm not going to go hungry. I'm not going to put my kids in harm's way. So when I did it, and it took a little bit longer for them to open, just because regulations and whatever, licensing and all that stuff. And my friends, they were like, girl, you sure? You sure it's gonna happen? And I was like, I'm okay, because I wouldn't have done it, because if it never opened, I would have been okay still. But thank God I did my due diligence, and everything worked out.
Love to hear those stories. That's the impactful. They always say scared money don't make none, but first you got to have some to put in, and then you have to know your circle. And I find that a lot of times, our community, I don't like being the only one in a networking circle. So I'm always calling people, hey, you guys want to show up to this, show up to that. But these are how deals get done. It's just new, and having that money. And that's a beautiful thing. So when you're, making these type of investments and you're writing your books, I mean, you got books on days, you got, so many more books in
so many more coming.
Yeah, you're more comfortable in a time like this where, you can just focus probably on more things. Now, has any of the business, like the co-op, you said the doors are closed, but if I'm not mistaken, that property is paid for, right?
It's not paid in cash. No, I'm financing.
Okay. Do you worry about how much money I'm losing on that? Are you thinking about, I'll just throw it out on the taxes, and I'm sure the government will have some type of bill on top of that, because a lot of people need help. But do you worry about that business?
So I looked at it because I just opened the doors. So I just bought the building in December. And it's a beautiful, beautiful building, and we put a lot of money into it. But I looked at it as, okay, this may not make money until the end of the year. So I made sure that we had enough reserves set aside so that, in the event that we didn't, you gotta put that money away in the event that it doesn't. So plan for the worst, prepare for the best, hope for the best. And so the great thing about it is my bank called me and was like, hey, how's this impacted you? It absolutely has impacted you. Okay, let us know how it's impacted you. We're gonna give you 6 months, no payments. Praise God, right? So, I leverage, I'm gonna use that. Then the SBA is giving grants of, I think, $10,000 for your businesses that have been impacted. So I have three different corporations. I have 3 different corporations, but I applied for 2. One was related to real estate, the loans, and then I applied for grants for those. So I just, just been trying to safeguard myself with upfront. Thank God. So I have a location here in Stockton, and I have a location in Sacramento, but just making sure that we have, whatever we needed in place. So I'm safeguard in the event of.
Now, those SBA grants, I've seen on the same, because we're an 8A firm, and when we go after the government stuff, that, I get the stuff, I have the whole, I bother the government a lot. But what I have seen on the same thing of grants, I've seen in loans right underneath. And I'm like, hey, is this a grant or is this a loan? The stuff that you applied for, is it 100% grant? Or are they loaning $10,000?
No, this is the grant. So I applied for the grant, but I did see they do have the loans as well. So I didn't want no loans. We did apply for the grants. That's money. That was part of the stimulus package. The government is taking care of businesses first. Citizens are getting $1,200 plus some unemployment, but they're going to take care of the businesses because the businesses are the core of the economy. So. Yeah.
I'm always government. Love our government. Love all governments. But Africa, I'm Mr. Africa. So real estate, Africa plan all day. And
love it.
Yeah, and I'm always working. When you work with the government, and even when you have the little, plebe job, I'm always a little skeptical of who they'll take care of first, because, I tell people, go after all that, but don't then just go sit back, because what Constance is saying is all true, but she has so many streams of income. Some folks will hear that, oh, I'm about to get this 10,000 and sit back. And now you can't sit back because you don't know. It's kind of like the student loans after 10 years. Not even 20% of the people got the loan forgiven after 10 years. So you never know what the government will do. But and my friends in London and my friends in Canada, their governments are giving them real money to live off of. I mean, folks are getting like 80% of their salary.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So it's like, we're not.
US of A.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be the greatest country. And when I heard that money, I'm talking to one of my team members, and I'm like, hey, what do you know about that? She's like, you don't have to worry about it. You won't qualify. I said, what do you mean? And she's like, she sent me the thing. And I said, wait, I saw people even who were making $90,000, they're giving $200. I said, what is $200 going to do?
What's that going
to do, knowing that person probably has a mortgage and 2 car payments, because most Americans, that's how they're living. I don't like any of that, because I've been through that.
Yeah.
And I've been through almost losing a house, and I don't like that feeling at all. But what do you think is it going to take for, what's going to happen in real estate? Do you think it's, prices are just going to go down like 2008, and those who have cash will be king? Or what's your opinion?
I don't have an opinion, honestly. I don't got a crystal ball, because we can always try to, predict, but we just don't know. And I choose to live on the side of optimism. I see what's going on with the lending side. I know that, interest rates are still great. What people need to understand is, even because I know a lot of people are like, I'm gonna wait, because, it's about to be a fire sale. And even if the prices went down $100,000, right? Say this $400,000 house is now $300,000, but the rates have gone up from, say, 3% to 5%. Overall, you're gonna pay more for that house anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Your mortgage payment is gonna be higher, and overall, amortized over 30 years, you're paying double the amount for that house. So get something, even if you think that the prices are going to go down, if you can afford that house, right? Because you got to live somewhere, get in something, sit your ass down and just chill out. And if it goes up, if it goes down, it's going to come back up. I mean, all markets are cyclical. So we know that, at some point, even if it does go down, it's going to go back up. The house that I live in right now, it's in a $1 million neighborhood, and I bought it. I got a hell of a deal. I bought it. It was a foreclosure. I paid $380,000 for it. The person before me paid $1 million for it, $999,000 before me. Okay, I paid $380,000. That house is back up to $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So even if and so say the people who bought it for $1 million, it went down all the way down to $300,000 because it was a foreclosure. They didn't see the vision. I did. I put a lot of work into it though, but it's gone back up. At some point they was going to get their equity. We bought it because houses across the street, they were going for $1.2 million, and the people have paid $1.2 million across the street, and here I am paying $300,000. I know they was looking at me like sick to their stomach, but now their house is worth $1.2 million again. So if it goes down, it's going to come back up. You just got to ride that wave out. It only lasts a couple of years. People just think about the right now though, and that's the problem. So right now, what you should be worried about is when stock prices are down, buy them stock. If you can get in something you can afford, I'm buying investment property right now. I don't care. Because guess what? I'm getting a 3% interest rate. You know what I mean? And I can afford it, and I'm a cash flow on the properties. So that right there, what they talking about, that doesn't even matter to me.
Now, you are a real estate broker, folks. I just want to put this warning out there. She is a broker. When she buys a foreclosure, she knows what she's looking for. Yeah. Can you give the top 2 things? Because some folks will hear that and try to go buy a foreclosure on their own, and they'll be more messed up than they were when they were living with their mama. So can you tell the people the 2 things, just the 2, I know there's more, that they should look out for? Because I think you should always have an agent. Get an expert. Always get an expert. I still pay for experts in various things. I don't know that much. I need a real estate agent.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What are the 2 things that they should be looking for if they even consider a foreclosure?
Well, there's not too many foreclosures right now, but there will be. They're coming. You always want to buy the best house, the worst house in the best neighborhood, like I did, right? You don't want to buy the best house in the worst neighborhood. Your appreciation is only going to go up so much. So number one, if you're going to buy something and, you got to decide on, this house is turnkey, but the neighborhood ain't so good. And this house will need a little bit of work, but yeah, look at, the neighborhood is great. I would go with the house that don't look so good. You got to sacrifice a little bit, build it up. You're going to get your return on investment. So you got to look at real estate, your primary, even though you live in it and you don't really consider real estate as an investment, it really is. Because as long as you get an equity and at some point you can sell it and make a profit, it is an investment. The second thing I would say is make sure that you, the agent, you got to have somebody that's looking out for your best interest. And I know you already said that, but that is extremely important. And all agents aren't created equal. So, make sure that they understand, because here's the thing. You can go into a house and I don't have to sell you in a house. I don't. Sometimes I just sit out in the car. You know what I mean? I don't even have to go in there. I'm not going to tell you all the great features because when you walk in if you want this house or if you don't want this house, right? What you need is somebody who's going to look out for your best interest. You need somebody who knows what the hell they're doing, who knows how to negotiate, but they also have good relationships with people, right? So you don't want to have somebody that has a bad reputation because you have a lot of those too. I thank God I have a really good reputation where I am. And so when you have an agent that has 6 offers and you have an agent like me, thank God, I have a good reputation, they're going to take my offer because they know how, they know how I work and they know I'm going to get the job done and we're going to have a smooth transaction and there ain't going to be no drama. But you need to make sure that person is, they know what they're doing and they have, great reputation and they can get it done for you. They're going to look out for your best interest.
Man, that's awesome. And you guys, all her description stuff, the website, even her Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter YouTube channel will be there. And I'm going to push you because we like to get the game, but we like to give it too.
Absolutely.
You got to have a podcast.
You got to help me. You know what? Listen, let me tell you something. Co-op Spot built a whole podcast studio.
What?
Yes.
I saw you had the gym workout in there, and I said, "Oh, that looks like
we about to do a gym workout." Like, the possibilities are endless. Here's the thing: I'm not the big ideation person, right? So I don't have big ideas. I just execute. So thank God that, I have people around me. They're like, oh, you should have a podcast studio with a green room. Good idea. Let's build it out. You should have good idea. If I think it's a great idea, I'm gonna do it. I surround myself all the time with people because I know 9 times out of 10 people ain't gonna execute. They're gonna have a great idea, but they're not gonna execute on it. But guess who does? So she ain't that smart. She just know how to execute shit. So that's what I
do. No, so in your inbox, while talking, because I like to do things while we are talking.
Executed. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I sent you. I think you should use Anchor.fm because that will be like the spot that you can get paid. And it's not that you make $1 million the first day, but it's the fact that you will be able to get paid, where many people were podcasting for years and not getting anything. So yeah, that's
I'm looking at it right now.
You're looking at
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, that has to happen because you have so much game to give. And and what you don't know is Sacramento, when I do go, I fly in to Sacramento.
Right.
One of my favorite cousins, I got over 100 of them, so I got to watch my words. But one of my favorite cousins, that's where she lives. And, you got to jump in the pool as soon as you get to Sac because it's so hot. But, I have to check out.
Right, well, you're in Seattle, so it's really cold.
Man, I'm in the get out state. This is the get out state, and if you guys have seen the movie Get Out, I mean that 100%. But
that is crazy.
Yeah, but I got my favorite little fish spots out there, and I like to go there before.
My husband likes to fish too.
Okay. So yeah, I got to see the spot that you have because we were there like 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago, and I wish I would have known if the doors were open.
Yeah, you got to come through. It's an amazing. And I shout out to Maisha Domino with Domino Designs. She is absolutely amazing. She has designed all of my office spaces, and she just is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is just that is Black owned. And I'll just put this out here. Not that I own it though. That is Black owned. Like, that makes me, I don't even look at it as it's mine. I look at it as it's ours, right? Yeah. I look at it as, wow, this is something to be proud of. This is a win for us as Black people. Because a lot of times, somebody will say, oh, I own this. And you go to it and it's just like, okay, it's a little raggedy-ish, and hey, I'm not knocking nobody's hustle, right? But we were able to get a great, it was nothing but God. Listen, I had an assessor call me the other day. And he says, the county assessor for Sacramento, he called me. He goes, first of all, he called me from a block number, so I wasn't sure he was really who he said he was, right? Because, everybody's off work. So he was like, you got this property for, and it was under $1 million. You got this property for X, Y, and Z, and I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it. And I was like, well, nothing. And he said, did you see the comps? And I said, yeah, I seen the comps. Well, you bought your building in a 7,500 square feet. You bought it for $120 a square foot, but all the other ones are going for $250. Twice as much, right? So I'm like, yeah. He goes, what was wrong? Now this used to be an architect school. Everything is state of the art, right? Designed beautifully. I got furniture with it. I have a library. I have like offices, classrooms, auditorium. And my comps are going for double what I paid for. And I said, he's like, well, can you tell me something X, Y, and Z? And I was like, well, send me something to show me who you are, who you say you are, because I ain't gonna share nothing. So he emailed me, and he really was the assessor, the county assessor, because he wanted to assess my property for much more. That means my property taxes would have been more. I was like, hold on, Playboy, this is what I paid for it. Yeah. So, but I said that to say that, it was for me. It was a blessing. Almost 3 years ago, I moved into a space in Stockton. I had just moved in, and it was a beautiful, beautiful space. Domino Design, she designed that too, spent almost $90,000 on that space. And 2 months later, the city of Stockton shut the whole place down. $90,000 down the drain like that. And it was 8 businesses. A lot of them went bankrupt, went out of business. thank God, survived, but we were homeless for 6 months. And, I just stayed resilient. I have a bunch of agents that are looking at me like, what we gonna do? And I had to keep a straight face. And even though I was scared to death, I didn't know. I was down to, almost nothing. And, I just was like, people would be like, I know you're mad, everybody's looking at us, we're all over the news, and, other real estate agencies are laughing at us like, ha, 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 they really thought they had something because it was beautiful. We was about to be the next best thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, I know you're mad. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not mad. I was never mad. I was just like, well, God, what are you doing? That's what I was like, okay, got to be something better. I don't know what it is. And we just, we moved into another space that was temporary. And we just kind of waited, like, I don't know what's going on. They were supposed to be, fixing the space so we could move back in. And we had been waiting and waiting and waiting. It had been almost 2 years. And finally, when I just got frustrated, I said, let me just look and see what they got in Sacramento. And I saw this building, and I was like, how is this under $1 million? So I sent my operations manager out there to look at it. And he went out there and looked at it. And by that time, see me, if I have an idea that I think is great and I don't execute on it right away, I lose interest. And that was one of the things. He looked at it about a week later. By the time he looked at it, I was like, I'm over it. And he's like, Constance is a good look. Might want to see it. And I'm like, nah. And he was like, just look at it. It's in a hub zone. You can do this, you can do that. And it got a stage. And I was like, got a stage? Got a stage. I'm a speaker. So I'm like, I'll go look at it. When I went up into that auditorium with that stage, I was like, that's what sold me. I didn't care about nothing else. That damn stage. Microphone? What? So
I feel you.
Write that offer.
I feel you. I always joke and say my wife and I, we bought our first house when we lived in Texas. I said we bought it because it had a bar. I said, man, and that's what the real estate agent who used to be an ex-pastor, and we had a good relationship with him. He wasn't our pastor, but he was like, oh, you guys seem to like this bar. I think we got a winner. But so I get the feeling when you see it, it's like the lights, like in a movie, the lights come on, like boom.
Yeah, all I needed was a stage. All I needed was one mic. But I just think that, God, closed that door, but that's because something else around the corner was better waiting on us. And what it did is it allowed us to expand our business even more. Now, I was actually, I hadn't even thought about it. I bought it for the real estate company, but I had all the space. I was like, what am I going to do with it? And I was speaking at a Boyce Watkins conference a couple months ago, and while I was in escrow, and a friend of mine, he was like, I just bought a building. His building, he's way richer than me. He bought like a 20 or 40,000 square foot building. He's like, I'm gonna make it a part of a co-working space. And I was like, bling. And that's one of the things too, is that every time I go somewhere and speak, I'm always looking for something or someone that's going to change my life in some way or another, right? So whether I'm on stage, whether they're on stage, whether they're in the elevator, we having lunch, I'm going to learn something, and I'm going to meet somebody that's going to change my life or change my perspective or way of thinking. And so for that purpose, I was there to speak for Boyce, but I was there to have lunch with a friend of mine who was already a friend of mine and get that knowledge, get that game. Because again, I'm an executor. So great idea. Came back, this is what we're going to do. And that's another revenue stream. So.
Now, since you mentioned Boyce a few times in this interview, and I love the all you need is one Mike Nas reference. And I know you liked when I talked about Africa. Have you looked into an Africa plan or doing any businesses? Because real estate there, you would be shocked, and you might even get a little greedy.
I heard. I was at a power networking conference last year, and which I've been going to for the last 7 years, I believe. But power networking conference, if you've ever heard of it, you need to be there. George Fraser. Yeah. I'm actually one of the faculties there, so I speak there as well. But was going there just as an attendee for several years. But last year, an ambassador from Africa, and I can't remember which country, she made an announcement. Couple of announcements. Number one, that they were trading as one, right? So now they stopped the division, and now they're trading as one country. The continent is one country. That's huge, right? Because colonization, they split them up. And the other thing they were saying was that they were welcoming all of the children of Africa from the diaspora to come back to invest, and they were offering incentives. And that really piqued my interest. So it's something that I definitely is not on the back of my mind, but on the forefront of my mind. Just after I get all this other stuff, that's going to be something that I definitely want to do. So yeah, it's gonna happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
It has to happen. And if you have not been to the continent yet,
Have not.
I'm telling you,
What
please.
country have you been?
So my first country was South Africa. I did that as a single man. I knew my wife then. We were dating, but she says, actually, I'm going to blurt that part because what she says, I won't say publicly. But I went to South Africa during grad school. And then more recently, my wife is from Cameroon. So we took the family, my two girls, London and Sydney. We went to Cameroon. I take my clients, one of my clients, we went to Ethiopia to film a documentary. And then we talked and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we took the guests, like your viewers? He has over 1 million subscribers. He's the biggest Black YouTuber on YouTube for news. And we took 30 people to Kenya last year. So, you know, and between that, am I missing one? I know that's it. And we have other trips planned. We had Senegal planned. This is going to be a bust because of, you know, COVID. You know me, but Africa is like when I'm there, and because my wife is from there, land was the easy part. Now, if I didn't have a wife from there in Cameroon, it would not have been as easy. And we've even had things gifted by my gracious father-in-law. But Africa, once you get there, whether you go to South Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, or Cameroon, or Nigeria, wherever, you are going to be like, okay, I see it, I feel it. As long as you don't go as a missionary or military, because you go through the eyes of a colonizer eyes, you know, not to talk about missionaries, but the church can only show you what they're there to do. It's what your purpose is there to do. And, you know, and shout out to all the missionaries that do good work. Thank God for y'all and be protected in Jesus Christ's name. But it's, you know, I'm not going to Africa to necessarily save Africa. And that's kind of the purpose of a lot of missions, is to let's go save the people. Let's help them out.
Go save the savages.
Yeah. I'm going to Africa to connect with my folks and try to get in where I fit in. And with that, there's so much opportunity. And it's like, one of our influencers, he was another one. He was talking about, oh, we got to get in this multi-level marketing where you can buy gold. I said, that's not beneficial to someone like myself because I know where to really go get the gold. And I said, so do you, because you go to Africa even more than me. He goes about every other month. And I said, you could go grab the gold. And I said, really, to grab real gold is a drug dealer's hobby because that's how they wash money. It's kind of like NASCAR. You know, that's where you see a lot of drug money. But I just throw that out there so people say, oh, okay, I'm going to get in this business, but you have to know the players that you're dealing with. It's like getting into rap. You're going to deal with criminals. Getting into music, you're going to deal with criminals. But I think your 2020 or 2021 plan, while flights are so cheap for you and your whole family, we saw flights less than, I think it was $2,000 for some African countries.
Wow.
And this is the time to buy them, because you buy it now. It's like maybe you can't use it when you expect to use it, but they're going to credit that ticket, so you'll be able to use it. And that's the game that you can play if you have a little bit of change, folks. For y'all out there saying, I've never been to Africa, I want to go. This is the time to buy. We're moving to Florida in the summer, and
all over the place.
Yeah, we do that. We do that. Every 4 to 6 years has been kind of the thing, just because of school and work, whatnot. But our tickets to Florida under $600 for 4 people, and not going economy either.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like the pastors. I don't want to be around all the demons in a car.
Okay.
So
I love it.
Yeah. So tell me this, and it's a question I like to ask all of our guests. What is your community give back?
Ooh, my business is my community. So that's why I got into the business. So if you look at my journey, I got into real estate. I just always had a heart to help people, period. So when I have an IT background. When I did IT, it was like, I just want to help people. And I had to justify in my mind doing that 2-hour commute to Cisco Systems every day. I'm helping somebody. Okay, Lord, okay. You know, so when I got into real estate, it was really, and look at my first email to my friends and family, and I'm like, I just want to help people, because I was 23 when I bought my first house, and people told me I couldn't do it. They doubted me. Oh, why are you moving way out there? Because I moved, you know, way from, you know, I was 23. I couldn't afford a house in San Jose, which is the highest real estate market in the country. So when I got into real estate, I always did business differently. In a area where people did real estate transactionally, like you call 100 people, you make 10 contacts, you have 3 appointments, and now you need a deal. I've always done real estate transformationally, which means I'm looking at who I can help, how I can serve you, how I can make a difference in your life, how can we build your legacy. And so not only internally, but externally, but internally as well. So I was always doing real estate different. You know, I was always trying to educate people. I want to help people. You know, 2008 was the year, the height of the foreclosure market, and Stockton, California was ground zero, and I was one of the biggest foreclosure agents in the area. But my mission at that time was to take these neighborhoods that were ravished with foreclosures and turn them back into thriving communities. That was what I wanted to do. And then when the market changed, you know, we just shifted, but it was always constantly about helping. And then in 2010, I opened up Catalyst, and Catalyst means change agent. That means, you know, we're here to help make a difference in your life. But I wanted to be, because I've always operated differently, I wanted to have an agency with like-minded individuals who were really about helping people, helping the community. And when people come, you know, first of all, some people automatically come with that mindset. Some people come from the, you know, the co-op bankers and things like that. You know, they come and thinking that it's about the sale. And when they, you know, it takes a little bit to shift their mindset on, no, this is about helping people, because you got to understand, there are so many people out there that need help that you ain't gonna never go hungry, because there's a lot of people that need help. Instead of you worrying about how can I sell you, when you shift the mindset to how can I help you, it separates you from everybody else. You ain't gonna never go hungry. You always gonna eat if you're helping people. And so having a business that's centered around those 4 simple letters and helping people, that's how I grew my business. So on our wall in the office, it says, God is our center, family is our why, business is our something, and the community is our drive.
Say that again. Say that again. That's worth.
Oh, wait! I gotta find it. So now
God is our center.
Yeah, God is our center, but it's on the wall at Catalyst Real Estate Professionals, and but it's a tribute to, you know, who we are. God is our center, family is our why, community is our passion, and business is our drive. And here's just a picture of a bunch of people that are standing in front of that little saying. But you know, we have a diverse group of agents. We have agents from all walks of life. Most of them are African American women. Why? Because I'm an African American woman, and people like to work for people that look like them. And so a lot of people are attracted to the business that look like me. But we welcome everybody. We help everybody.
And you know what? I before we end at least the recorded part that the people will hear, so I definitely want to talk to you right after this. But people want to work with people that look like them, and I think going into this next future, when we, you know, I hear racism talk all day because of the type of clients that we have and what goes on in the world. But we have to, the same way we like to sometimes work in our tribe, because it's not always people who look like you, who do business like you and that you get along, but it's that tribe and those values. So instead of saying, okay, these folks don't like us, we have to create our own. And what you're talking about value is, I mean, that is any business. You have to solve a problem and you have to bring value to solve that problem. So I don't necessarily like to hear when people, oh, and they won't let me in. Well, you create your own.
You create. They won't let me. I can't stand that. They won't let me. No, in this time right now, Kellen, like with the internet, it is one of the most non-discriminative ways that you can make as much money as you possibly humanly can. And so you can't, you know, if you have the drive to do it on your own, you cannot complain about what nobody ain't letting you do, because there's too much opportunity out there. There's so much opportunity. I do know this, and I'll say this real quick. I'm sorry. As a Black woman, because I know, I mean, that's very obvious, and we're not going to pretend like I'm not. I have to jump higher, run faster, work harder just to be considered equal. You know, I got to make sure that my business is at this level just so I could play at this level with these other people. You know what I mean? I know if I was a white man, I would have probably double or triple the amount of agents who would run to come work for me just because of the core values that we have. We have a very collaborative environment. So I understand that. There's no question about that. And that's the reality. And, I knew what the job was when I took it. Somebody told me when I first started that you ain't going to be successful as this white man because you Black and you a woman. Like, this is 1936 and the color purple. But you're Black, you're a woman, you're ugly, right?
No, they can't say that about you. That last part, they lying. They might be blind, but they can't say that about you.
So it wasn't that they didn't think that I could. It was just they were placing their own limiting beliefs on what they thought society had. And I came out the gate just lambasted everybody. However, in the space of working, that's why I wrote the ebook about 7 online revenue streams to fund your $1 million dreams, because this is a space that you can make an astronomical amount of money and you are not limited by who you are affiliated with, whatever. Don't nobody got to know that you a brother online. If you have a business, nobody has to know unless you tell them, right? In your business, of course, with your podcast, yeah, because they got to see you, but you can have another business where people don't have to know, right? Yeah. So it's all up to you. But, there's just ways that you can do things. And this is the best time to live. And then, while we're sitting here, sheltered in place and we can't go nowhere, and we should be thinking about those things to where we're not depending on a 9-to-5 or the government or whomever else. We need to be thinking about what are these other things I can do myself? I can be self-sufficient and independent.
Like, and when you watch Madam C.J. Walker's story on Netflix, you write down your own story.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, that's real. You have given us the names of the great Dr. George Fraser, who,
that's one of my mentors. Yes.
Yeah. Love him. And actually just sent him an email yesterday that he replied back to. Beautiful. About, helping sell out the next conference, as well as Dr. Boyce, who you guys, but and Dr. Boyce has been I consider Boyce a friend of the show, whatnot. He's been on the show. But I want you guys to check out those names and all of Constance's books on her website.
And let me tell you this really quick. I'm sorry. So Boyce and George Fraser. So we were going to have a conference on the 4th in 2 days, 4/4/2020. But of course, COVID killed that. But God willing, we will have it again. Right now, it's tentatively scheduled for 6/6. May not happen, but it will happen before the summer's over. But we're going to have Boyce Watkins. We're going to have Ray J. We're going to have Dr. George Fraser. Kia Stokes, she's a Disney star. She played in Mixed-ish and Casey Undercover. But we're going to have a host of thought leaders from all over the country that are going to descend on the Silicon Valley, my hometown, San Jose, California. And we've partnered with some amazing people. But those guys, like if you are in the area or if you need to fly in, this is where you need to be. We're doing a Shark Tank. Because here's what Ray J told me. He said, Constance, it's cool. I'll come to your conference. You know how he talks. I'll come to your conference. Everything is good. But I want to see who I can make millions with. And I said, okay, well, what you want to do? So one of the things we're doing is we're doing a Shark Tank. So it's going to be a Shark Tank competition where, you have an idea, you bring it, you may not get none. You may get some advice. Dr. George is going to be a judge. Dr. Boyce is going to be a judge. Susie Carter, I don't know if you know her. Mm-hmm. She's a coach for Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols is a good friend of mine. Susie Carter is her coach. Steve Harvey's coach and Coach Paul Mitchell. She's going to be a speaker there. But those are all going to be judges. And like I said, either you're going to get some advice, either you're going to get some funding, or you're going to get a, what's up, brother? Or you're going to get some coaching or mentoring or whatever. But it's going to be a great opportunity for a lot of people.
So now that it's postponed, I would love to
we do have it.
I would love to see it possibly around the same time or combined with Afrotech in November, because a lot of folks from Seattle fly down to that.
Yeah.
And, and this is where one thing about Seattle, for all those listening, we don't have a problem getting money for businesses. Yeah. Actually, you say no to no, we don't need the money, because when they see our great ideas, one thing about our community, we're always creative. So as long as you're on point and you're putting in the work, and you study and, you know, relationships are everything, people will give you money. There's so much angel money out here. There's so much venture money out here that's not the problem in Seattle. And that is one of the good things of Seattle, Washington. So when you do, you know, refocus it, I'd love to hear more so I can tell the Seattle community, because when we do startup week here, it's awesome. And it just feels like it's not like other cities that I've seen it.
There's a vibrancy in Seattle that I absolutely love. So yeah, that sounds amazing.
Well, there's a reason why some of the biggest companies in the world, you know, have boomed out here, and why people come here to get that game. But I think we've given the people a game overload. I definitely want to talk. Yeah, I want to talk to you briefly after. But you guys have gotten the game. I thank you for coming on, Mrs. Carter.
And wonderful. I thank you for the opportunity.
All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. You've been blessed by the game.